It is my second time filming this intro because for the first time the audio wasn't quite right, so please excuse me that there are already a couple of tabs in the book. Today is a rather gloomy, rainy Saturday morning, and I have been itching to get started on Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. It is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which, if you haven't heard, was one of my favorite books of 2023, so of course I had to pick up the sequel. I think it came out toward the end of 2023, sometime in December, but of course it was published later in Austria because we are a German-speaking country, so English books usually get published later on. I actually haven't really heard any hype around the sequel, which is actually surprising because back in the days when Divine Rivals came out, it was all over like Booktube, Bookstagram, Booktok, but I feel like Ruthless Vows might have made less of an impact when it comes to public hype. Nevertheless, I'm super excited because Rebecca Ross is one of my favorite authors. I read, of course, Divine Rivals from her, also A River Enchanted, which was also one of my top reads. I have the sequel, A Fire Endless, that I have yet to pick up, but that's also very high in my TBR. And I also read one of her standalone fantasies, Dreams Lie Beneath, which was also one I highly enjoyed, so safe to say, I have high expectations for Ruthless Vows. I also went and picked up the hardback edition, simply because for Divine Rivals I had the paperback, and I feel like I don't quite enjoy when I'm reading and I have to bend the pages a bit too much, so I went ahead and picked up the hardback edition for the sequel, also because I love this gorgeous sort of wine red color of it. I feel like it fits the golden lettering on the title on the spine really well. There's not much else to say, so let's start the reading vlog and dive into Ruthless Vows. It is now Sunday afternoon, we are about to head out for dinner, so let's do a quick check-in. I am currently on page 258, which is roughly like 60% of the book, so I already have a few observations to make. Actually, at the beginning, the transition back to Iris's headspace was much smoother than I expected. I haven't reread Divine Rivals just for the sequel, so I was expecting it to be a little bit more rocky. I cannot say that I'm an expert in reading sequels because, as you know, I rarely do, but sometimes when it comes to sequels, it can feel a little bit off, like you can tell that time has passed between the author writing the first book versus the second book, but to be honest, here in Divine Rivals, I didn't feel like that at all. I cannot say that the plot has progressed particularly fast. Like, in the first 200 pages or so, the focus was much more on Iris's and Roman's perspective of things, rather than the main plot with the war among the gods moving forward. And by main plot, I kind of mean like the background plot. What I really enjoy in Ruthless Vows so far is the continuation of Iris and Roman's dynamic. The banter is still there, which is top tier. A lot of the times it can happen that when a romance dynamic is based on like witty banter, once the couple gets together, it kind of disappears and make the dynamic quite boring. But I'm happy to report that Iris and Roman's witty back and forth is still going strong in Ruthless Vows. Talking about their love story in particular, if you think you knew devastation by reading Divine Rivals, this is a whole new level in this book. There are sweet moments, there is a lot of devotion, acknowledging each other's brilliance, I mean, Rebecca Ross has a beautiful way of words in the letters that they write to each other, but there's also a lot of pain as they experience a bit of Romeo and Juliet flavor in the plot of Ruthless Vows. Rebecca Ross also did a really good job of building up the lore. Like, we are discovering the details about the war situation and the gods bit by bit. Like, there is no sudden info dumping. It's more like how Iris and Roman also get to know things. So it feels a lot more organic rather than having this all-knowing narrative going on. Honestly, I'm a little bit scared of the last 40% because I have no idea where the plot is going. I have bad feelings about certain characters, so yeah. I don't think I will get through the last 200 or so pages today, but I will update you once I finish the book to share my final thoughts on it. It is now a week later, it is Friday, but I finally finished the book. First of all, this is a 5-star read. It is a 6-star read. Did it top Divine Rivals as a sequel? I'm a sucker for early relationship development, so in that regard, no. But for the emotional roller coaster, yes it did. The last 20% was the meat of the story, and Rebecca Ross delivered her masterpiece, gifting us with intense moments, heartbreaking moments, tender moments, and cathartic moments. I mentioned it in my review for A River Enchanted because there it's more prominent, but here as well I have to mention that I really enjoyed how Rebecca Ross crafted all the relationship tied to Iris and Roman, their love story, their family dynamics, and also the found family feeling together with their colleagues and friends. I usually don't care much about those because you can sometimes tell that these things are there to basically provide a background for the main character, but here I even cared about the side characters, which for me is one of the signs of a good book. In my opinion, it was the perfect way to tell Iris and Roman's story as a duology, and the second book did not disappoint. If anything, it elevated the plot into new heights and tied off all the loose ends. I believe this will be a series that I will for sure reread in the upcoming years and still enjoy the story, the characterization, the romance plotline, and the setting. The Divine Rivals series deserves its place on my favorites shelf, next to the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, A River Enchanted, and The Song of Achilles. Now I'm really looking forward to also finishing the second part of A River Enchanted, which is A Fire Endless that I also have behind me, also from Rebecca Ross. I hope you enjoyed watching this little reading vlog as much as I enjoyed filming it. Let me know your experience reading Ruthless Vows in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. I feel like for my next read I will turn to Japanese literary fiction because I need a bit of a change after the romance fantasy, so see you in my next video, maybe about Japanese litfic, maybe not. Until then, take care, bye!